guys, I wanted to do paint and chat, art and chat, not sure what these are called, and just sort of chat with you and paint a little sketch that I have for Australia Day, which will be happening Saturday, so tomorrow, but actually today in Australia, I think. I sketched this out last year but haven't been able to paint it yet, and so I thought I would sort of hang out and paint with you and chat about a topic that has been on my mind for a little bit. This is a drawing I did actually last year at some point when I was just trying to get myself to draw more and draw more animals, and this year I've actually made it a goal of mine to really draw a lot more animals and different kinds of plant life, and the ways that I'm doing that is number one, I am following what I'm calling hashtag Celebrate Animals 365, which this is not technically a 365 every single day sort of drawing challenge, but sort of a loose challenge where I'm following different animal wildlife kinds of days, so international or national, like Red Panda Day for instance. I'm also filming in a different setup where I have a camera up above as well as a camera pointed at my face, and I've seen a few other artists do this where there's kind of two different angles, and since I do have the ability and equipment, figured I would to try that out. For Australia Day, I am painting this little koala bear because I haven't really drawn koala bears before, and I thought this one was pretty cute with some succulent type plants. No surprise there. And this should be fairly simple. Hopefully filming with two different cameras isn't going to be too much extra work for me to deal with, and will give you a little bit more of intimate view into my painting process, just like you're sitting here with me. So hopefully the lighting is okay enough for this. I don't have any studio lights on. I wanted to just use some of the daylight while we had it. I really wanted to sort of discuss or bring up this idea that watercolor is really intimidating for a lot of people. That's something that I hear about a lot at conventions selling my artwork, and people realize that it is watercolor that I am typically using. People will ask me for how to get into watercolor, and there's been a lot of expression of just overall being overwhelmed with watercolor. Felt that to some degree when I was younger, and I can talk a little bit about kind of why it was overwhelming for me when I was younger, or more or less why I didn't pick it up right away. Aside from that, I want you to be a part of the conversation down in the comments and let me know what you think it is about watercolor that has been really intimidating for you. I'm actually in the middle of writing a few different topic courses in Skillshare, and I am excited to get those classes together. And one that I wanted to start with was getting over the fear of watercolor and being able to just enjoy the medium. And I'm planning on talking about maybe what your fears might be and what can help get you into the medium, because it really is enjoyable, and I feel like it's really versatile, even though it might feel really restrictive to some. I would love to talk about that more and kind of give you my tips, as well as talk about the benefits from the psychological side, your brain, what watercolor kind of does up here, and explain some benefits aside from just the medium itself and what you can and can't achieve with it, but also how it helps my brain and mental health and what it could do for you. If there are particular reasons why watercolor has been really intimidating, maybe you really want to get into watercolor but you've been a little afraid of jumping in, let me know what some of those concerns are, if you can articulate that. If not, just kind of nod along in the comments that this is something that would maybe be helpful for you, because as I'm putting my course together, I would love to get to know what you guys would love to hear me talk about, and maybe I can help sort of help you get over some of the fears there associated with watercolor. I will say that I feel like one of the main issues I had was the quality of watercolor that when we're growing up, we typically are going to have access to as children. And I have ranted about this before. I can't remember what video it was, but I've definitely ranted. I think it was maybe my IKEA watercolor review video from a while back. What I was mentioning there, and I still agree with, is the children's quality watercolors is something that we typically get when we are seen as being more artistic, or just in general, kids are sort of given crayons and then jump right into like a Crayola watercolor pan chalky kind of paint set. I feel like those, especially if you don't even get Crayola, you get some of the other brands, it's just awful quality. Aside from the watercolor itself being really awful quality and chalky and just not very pleasant to work with, it also tends to come with an awful brush. You know the brush I'm talking about, where it's basically just plastic bits glued to more plastic bits. And that actually is something that actively makes me upset that we were expected to be able to paint with, and it's plastic. It's just little nibs of plastic, and I don't understand why that was acceptable, because that's just the worst thing to try to control watercolor with, and it's like you're set up for failure. And I feel like that's a lot of the experience that we had growing up. As children, we collectively, maybe you included, let me know if that is your first experience with watercolor and how that may or may not have affected you being able to use it. And then when you get older and you try to pick it up and are not really taught much about it, I feel like it can be really intimidating and scary. But it really is so versatile. And I know I'm a little biased, and I, talk to a lot of my watercolor oriented friends here on YouTube and in real life, and a lot of us find so much freedom in watercolor, and we realize that that is not the sort of common experience for a lot of people who want to get into it, because there is this initial fear there. And I think a lot of that ends up being about controlling the water and not being able to either feel like our painting process is just so out of control, and or we're not able to embrace kind of what watercolor is meant to do, and being a little bit kind of having a mind of its own, which is a little scary when you're trying to paint a particular piece or have a particular idea you're trying to get down. It can sometimes be hard enough when you are drawing something and trying to get that out of your brain, and that almost never translates well on the paper as it does in your head. And I think a part of it, being an artist, is learning to be able to accept that fact, that that is just kind of how it is to be an artist. I think a lot of people believe, kind of outside of the art world, that artists have this image in their head that they're able to just perfectly translate onto the paper. And if you have been just starting in art, or if you have been working in a professional art field for your entire life, you probably understand that that is not at all how that works. And more so, it's a matter of you getting comfortable with that sort of differentiation, that it will be different on the paper, and being okay that whatever is in your head is not going to perfectly translate onto the paper. Okay, I think I'm finally done. Did a little bit more detail than I thought I would by adding both the purple and the pink pen. to sort of emphasize some of the line work. I hope you guys enjoy this style of filming. That's going to be it for me today. If you enjoyed this video or videos like this and you want to see more in the future, make sure to like this video as well as subscribing so you can continue on this art journey with me. Be on the lookout on my Instagram. I'll have that linked down below to see this piece and other animals that I'm posting for my hashtag #CelebrateAnimals365. That's gonna be it for me today. I hope you have a creatively fulfilled day and I will see you next time. Bye guys.